Day 22 of Vlogmas. We are getting into the home stretch on this one. Today I wanted to talk briefly about the GoFundMe border wall. There was a GoFundMe. Actually, I have a couple pictures of it. It's basically funded by, what's his name, Brian Colfage, to build that wall. It was, one of Trump's campaign promises was to build this wall, and I don't think Trump has the ability, our current president has the ability to build this wall. I don't think he got the funding. It wasn't going to be built the way he wanted to anyway. Genuinely, it was a dumb idea in the first place. I mean, it's just too much territory. I mean, it's like be larger than the Great Wall of China, and it's built on a lot of silly misconceptions. It's not what I want to talk about. I mean, but let's get that out of the way right out of the gate. What I wanted to talk about is some people's reaction to that GoFundMe. Now, briefly going through the GoFundMe. The United States government will not allow you to give it money so it will spend it in a particular way. It won't do it. Maybe the President of the United States, although that's more of a congressional thing, spending money that way. Generally, the United States government considers funds raised like this to be a gift, and it'll spend it however it damn well pleases. So, the GoFundMe thing probably couldn't have worked in the first place, even if absolutely everyone was on board, like enough people in Congress and the President, possibly. But the reaction that some people had to it, it's like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, they posted pictures and links to the GoFundMe by Brian Colfage, and they're like, this is everything that's wrong with America today. You know, it's people spending their money on this thing. They're a little nebulous as to why it's the worst thing ever. But it was like, it's racist. Obviously, racism is what there is a group of people who are going to call racist anything that the current administration does. Anything at all. That's not what I really want to talk about. What I really want to talk about is my reaction to that reaction, which was, this is not the worst thing ever. Far from it. This is amazing. I think this is absolutely fantastic. And here's why. And here are my thoughts on it. So it goes something like this. I think the wall is a dumb thing. I think it's built, figuratively speaking, on a lot of misconceptions about immigrants, the way immigration works, the way, obviously the scaremongering here is that there are bad people on the other side of that border who are trying to get in. Not so bad people who are just, they're either malicious or ill-informed or something like that, and they're going to take our jobs or something like that. But you also have gangs and blah, 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 blah. Going through this, I don't want to hit on those too much. But I once again, those are... It's just a misunderstanding of a lot of the way these things work. If there's crime in a particular area, you send the police. If there's a lot of crime, you get more police. Places that have a lot of crime, that are crime-ridden, have larger police forces, and conversely, places that have very little crime don't spend as much on their local police force or rely more on the state police for those reasons. If your state if there are genuinely biker gangs from Mexico terrorizing towns on your side of the border, or it's spilling over into your neighborhoods, you get more police, you get the state police involved. It's like if there were crime breaking out anywhere. As far as the immigrant thing, the job thing, that's a whole nother argument for another day. regardless. So I think the wall is stupid. Why do I think this GoFundMe is amazing? Because understand, I am extremely libertarian. Like, on the little little political diamond diagram, I am so libertarian, I am on the edge of being almost a full-blown anarchist. And it's why when someone makes the argument, so you don't want roads or something like that, goddamn roads, it always has to be in this stupid-ass argument. I'm like, well, I'm not an anarchist. I understand the anarchists. I really empathize with the anarchists, particularly the extreme economic conservatism, voluntarism, economic anarchism, the capitalist anarchism, where we just buy the things we need, and so on. Once again, that is a whole nother, that is hours of discussion, and that's not where I want to head. My point being, I think a lot of what our federal government does is stupid, and pointless, ill-conceived, wasteful, and etc. ad nauseum. If this genuinely worked, if you could raise the money through a GoFundMe, you can even try to raise it. You're spending not my money on something I don't agree with to do something stupid that I don't think is going to do the thing you think it's going to do. You're not wasting my money. What's more is, if you don't raise enough money, you have to sort of limit yourself. You go, okay, we have to spend this super efficiently, or we have to scale back our expectations, or we have to do a cost-benefit analysis. What do we want to do? What do we hope to accomplish? What can we accomplish with what we have? No spending money we don't have on economy-destroying deficits. It's, we've raised what we could raise. We need to either try to convince people to give more, or we need to figure out how we can do what we want to do with what we have. It forces sensible economic principles to be used. So I don't agree with this wall, but I don't have to pay for it if I don't want to. I don't have to contribute to this GoFundMe. I think like 90% of what our current government is doing should be funded through a mechanism similar to GoFundMe. Not necessarily GoFundMe, but something like that. Like, unfortunately, we live in the 21st century. Or, fortunately, we live in the 21st century. Unfortunately, our Congress does not. Someone recently, I saw on YouTube and Vimeo, a couple videos of congressional hearings, and some of the highlights where some of these congressmen don't understand technology or the internet at all, in any capacity, to a laughable degree. The idea of this group getting their shit together enough to have an intelligent nothing in this earth is as democratic as GoFundMe. Nothing is. It's the, whatever you can contribute, you want this thing, this is what you do. If you can only contribute $1, great. If you can't contribute at all, you can talk to other people, try to talk them into it, or get a large group together, or you know, try to convince someone who does have more money, or you know, have a fucking bake sale, whatever the fuck. Whatever you want to do, I mean, nothing is as democratic as something like this, as a fundraiser like this. And in the 21st century, where we can move funds in the most amazing ways, I haven't even, nor am I going to touch upon blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and the miracle of the entire blockchain technology, the brilliance of it. We don't have to do things the old way. We don't have to have these deficit creating shenanigans that Congress cannot and will not fix. There are alternatives to pay for things, to get things, to arrange for things to be created, to be funded, to be planned. I mean, when you have something like this, I don't want to go over this twice, but when you have something paid for like this, it forces consideration in a way that federal public funding in particular doesn't concern itself with. I mean, if DARPA or someone wants some missile program or something, they make ludicrous claims about what it can do and how much it'll cost. It's invariably way over budget, doesn't really work that way, and it takes forever. This sort of economy, a modern 21st century economy, has no place for that. If the thing doesn't work, you give everyone a refund. It's simple as that. Well, it's a little more complicated than that, but you get the idea. So I'm way in favor of this. If we had a Congress that wasn't incompetent, if the President of the United States could organize this in such a way that the executive branch of the government and the legislative branch could work in such a way, work with these private industries, institutions like GoFundMe and something like that, to raise money. I mean, why couldn't the government itself contract something like this into existence, where you're saying, okay, we don't want to break the budget constantly. Let's just raise the money for the things we need and figure out what we don't need or what we could do more efficiently. This is very promising. I don't see how it'll ever come to pass, but that would be an amazing step forward. I think this is not the worst thing ever. I think it's the most amazing thing ever. I don't agree with this particular project, but I do think everything should be done this way, particularly the federal government. I mean, reasonably, I'm a libertarian. I'm a third-party political type person. I am not with one of these two parties at all, even slightly. But looking at it reasonably, if you just shaved away some of the fat, and I think our Fed is mostly fat, and just said, hey, let's see if we can fund these directly, direct funding, where people want the thing, raise the money, and we'll build the thing. You know, make a plan, make a clear plan, make reasonable expectations, and work to meet those expectations. That's how you would do it. Anyway, I don't want to go on about this too much. This is just a thing I've been wanting to talk about for a little while, since I saw it popping up and people's reactions to it. This is Vlogmas Day 22. I'm done.